Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about factors that determine success as a software engineer. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, what are at least three factors you believe determines whether a software engineer will have a successful career or not? Okay, at least three. Um, I would say skill, social, soft skills, like your technical skills, soft skills, and business mindset. I would say. I think that those. That's going to be my answer. So let me walk you through this. So from my perspective, the first and foremost thing is, of course, technical skills. Without technical skills, you are not even going to get into the industry, because if you're bad at coding, it's very unlikely that you will make it within the industry. Uh, and this is one of those reasons why I tell new developers that although it might be very tempting to try to find the highest salaries and so forth early on in your career, what you really need to focus on is the quality of your education, because the quality of your education is the thing that's going to pay off most long term. So what that basically means is that if you find yourself in a situation where you might get to have a little bit of a higher salary, but at the same time you're going to be forced to work in an environment that doesn't really evolve you as much, or you stagnate, that's actually very dangerous for you because it's hurting your long-term development. And as you probably can imagine, the salary that you're making in the earlier stages of your career is not going to it's not going to evolve, as your money return on investment is going to not be that great, since the prerequisite for you to actually get to the next level is going to be to get to a point where they're actually going to pay you more. The software developers who make the most are not just people who have been working for a lot of years. They are people who have a skill level that is an experience level that is so high that they're actually worth that sort of money. And you can't get that if you just, I don't know, do some basics, or you work in some company where they don't really give you any chance to grow as a developer. So those tech skills are a really important factor. And they are your bread and butter. So you can't let them rot. They have to be watered regularly, like all the time. Make sure that they are in mint condition as much as humanly possible, or at the not mint condition. They should be battle tested. This should be the thing that you rely on, the thing that you have as a fallback. Because at the end of the day, without that, nothing else really matters for you, especially in the beginning of things. Second thing is going to be soft skills. The reason why I mention soft skills is because in order for you to bring results at a certain stage, you're going to realize that you need to be able to at least talk to people. You need to be able to talk to stakeholders and deal with communication issues and so forth. And it is a challenge to grow this part of you. Some people are better than it than others, but to constantly be in a state where you need to be both a teacher and a mentor, and you need to have patience, and you need to be a diplomat, and sometimes you need to be a salesperson. Like, you have to be all these types of you have to really bridge a lot of things in terms of communication to get the results that you need, because at the end of the day you are the lowest level before the software actually gets created. And everything, it depends on practically that you know how to convert the communication that your designer is going to give you, your PO is going to give you, your CTO is going to give you, your CEO is going to give you, like all these different stakeholders that you might have in the company. They all depend on that you understand what it is that they want you to make. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to give them the results that they want. And if you want to be good at your job, which is even harder than just having basic soft skills, you're going to have to be able to communicate back what's going to be good investments and what's going to be bad investments. And this is such a battle. Everybody has this problem. I am no exception to this rule. It is super tricky to be able to communicate effectively your ideas and have them received in the right way, and not like give in to frustration when people don't listen, and when like there's all of this human communication that needs to take place in order for you to do a good job. If you really, like, I mean, in many cases you can just get the basics down here and go into code monkey mode and survive in many companies, but in some companies that's just not, it's just not feasible. And I really urge you to not go in too much into code monkey mode, because it's going to potentially impact your future. Because it is very convenient to be a code monkey where you don't really care about the output that you have. You just care about, here's my specification, I will build you the thing that you want. Regardless of how that turns out later on, I'm just going to say, well, that's what you told me to make, and that's it, right? The problem with that is that it's going to limit you in your personal growth and your your future options, if that makes sense. And that ties into the third and last one, which is to have a business mindset. And this is the thing that is, I think, long term, one of the most important things that you can invest in. And what it basically comes down to is that you need to understand that the software that you are writing is, it has a value, it has a cost, and you need to understand. It's really hard to do this in the beginning of things, because when you first start as a software developer, you're usually very focused on the idealism of the software, all the good practices and like the purity of the craft, if that makes sense. You're a craftsman first and foremost. But once you get to a certain point, you will start to realize that every piece of software that you write has a price tag, because you have a price tag. And if you're good at this, you start to see a bigger picture in the reason as to why you're writing software in the first place. It's usually because you want to make money from it in some fashion. And if you start to just understand how that money is made, what are good investments and what are bad investments, because it really is a matter of investment, it's about risk management. If you hack things together in the wrong situation, you're actually going to lose money. And if you go overly on quality in the wrong situation, you're actually going to waste a lot of money trying to build something that nobody really wants to buy from you. And having an understanding of business requirements and business need when you're writing software is the most surefire way for you to future-proof your career, because it's not only going to help you communicate effectively with your stakeholders and build the right things, and in many cases give a lot more valuable feedback to your stakeholders on their requirements and build the company and get promoted and so forth. It's also going to set you up for understanding how to run your own business, or how to do your own thing, and that is something that becomes increasingly more valuable to you the older you get. I'm not saying that you can't stay in software until you retire. I'm just saying that having a very well-rounded profile as a software developer with a business mindset is probably the most sustainable way for you to become a person who can you fear nothing. You fear nothing because you know that if things don't work out with a specific company, you can always go and start your own company, or you're going to find a role in some other company. You're very flexible in that regard, and I think that is one of the best reasons as to why you really should take some time to really understand the business part of IT. So what I want you to take away from this is that, from my perspective, the three main factors that is going to determine your future career as a software developer is: number one, hard tech skills, because without hard tech skills and the talent to actually build working things, you're not all that useful to the IT industry as a software developer at the very least. Hard tech skills is a prerequisite to be a good software developer. Number two is good communication skills, or soft skills, because you need to be able to align with people and communicate effectively. You can't be too hard to work with, because then nobody wants to work with you. And for the most part, software is a collaborative endeavor. It's based on teamwork, it's based on talking to customers and stakeholders and stuff like that. So you need to be able to do these sorts of things. You don't have to be the best ever at it, but you need to be good at it in order to effectively build things for other people. Third and lastly, make sure that you have a business mindset, because it's really easy for you to become an engineer to the point where you get detached from the fact that the reason why you're writing software in the first place, for the most part at the very least, is to make money. And you need to understand how that money flow works, because if you get really good at the engineering part, you might build very expensive software that doesn't give you any money at the wrong time, and in some cases you might build really shitty software that you lose money on because nobody wants to buy it, or people get really upset with you because you don't understand the needs of the customers. These sorts of things are really important if you want to have a long and fruitful career in software development. Have a great day.